We are officially halfway through my fall project pan, which means that I owe you an update. If you haven't seen my intro, I will make sure to link that in the cards right now so you can go back and watch that one, get caught up, and then come back to see the progress. But before we get into all of the progress or lack of progress that I've made on some of these products, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and turn your post notifications on so that you never miss a video. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the body care and then move on to fragrance and makeup. So the first body care product that I have, I actually am proud to say I have completely used up. That is the Cinnamon Dolce Sugar Scrub from Tree Hut. So I'll show you where I started. I had a little bit over half left, and I had a feeling that I was gonna do really well with making progress on this because I feel like I use these sugar scrubs up pretty quickly. I don't use them on my whole body every single day, but I do scrub my armpits every single day to get kind of the residual deodorant off. And so I end up cycling through them pretty quickly. The Cinnamon Dolce scent is limited edition, and this is my all-time favorite scent from Tree Hut. So when I saw that Ulta had these, I made sure to grab a couple. So I actually already have another one of these in my shower right now that I'm using and absolutely loving. If you love anything like gourmand, cinnamon, graham cracker type vibe, you will love this. If you haven't smelled it, go give it a smell. It is just, in my opinion, perfection. Okay, so now we have 5 Bath & Body Works body washes, and I am happy to say that I did empty a couple of them. The first one that I completely used up is Chocolate Amber. So I'll go ahead and show you the line of where we started, and you can see we've made pretty good progress. We used the entire thing up. So the scent came out during semi-annual sale. It was a bring back scent, I think from like the early 2000s, if I'm remembering correctly. And this was fine, definitely not my favorite. I think it was fun for fall, but if this ever came out again, I don't think I would repurchase. Okay, so the next body wash that I completely used up is Sweater Weather. So at the beginning of the project, this one was completely full, so I don't have any marking on this, but it is completely empty, as you can see. So this one has notes of Suncrisp Apple, Autumn Leaves, and Orchard Woods. So this is like a unisex, almost leaning masculine, I think, apple scent, and it's a little bit more on the fresh side. It was super nice for fall. I don't have this in any other products like a cream or a spray, but I did enjoy it in the body wash, especially in the shower when I was looking for something a little bit less gourmand and a little bit more fresh smelling. Okay, and the last one that I emptied is Wicked Vanilla Woods. So this has notes of magical vanilla, glowing amberwood, and enchanted pink pepper. One thing I will say about this one is that it does not smell the same in the body wash as it does in the mist, at least my opinion. I really had to force myself to use this one because I felt like in the body wash it had kind of a plasticky smell. So like I said, I did empty this one, and this is where we started. But I did start with a little bit over halfway left, and then I finished it. So definitely not something that I would repurchase in the body wash. I kind of had to force myself to use this one, and now that it's gone, I don't need it again. So I have 2 more body washes, and these both still have product left in them, so I wanna show you the progress that I've made. I also wanna preface that these are actually my 2 favorite scents out of these 5. The reason that these 2 have product left is because I've really been trying to like hang on to them and savor them because I like them so much. So the first one is Champagne Apple and Honey. This one kind of caught me off guard with how much I liked it. It is kind of a basic sweet vanilla scent, but this one does have something a little bit more almost effervescent and a little bit unique to it. I think it's from that sparkling champagne note. So this one has notes of crisp apple, sparkling champagne, jasmine, honey, and autumn woods. I had used this one a couple times before I started the project, so I'll show you where I started and the progress that I've made. So you can see the first line at the top right there. That is where we started. And then we are all the way down to here. I am almost done with this one. I have like maybe a 1/5 of it left, I would say. And I am surprised with how much I have been enjoying this scent. This is one that I didn't really care that much about before I started the project, but I've really been enjoying using this. I think that apple just translates really well in the shower. It feels super sweet and fresh and then very fall-like. So I'm looking forward to continuing using this one, and I am surprised, but I will be missing this when it's done. The last body wash is Glazed Pumpkin. So this one was completely full when I started the project, and I've made pretty good progress on this one as well. I have more product left in this one than I do Champagne Apple and Honey because this has actually been my favorite scent to use in the shower. It is quite heavy because this is a true like sweet gourmand pumpkin caramel scent. But this one was completely full when I started the project, and I am now down to here. So I have been enjoying this one. I've made great progress on this, and I'm a huge fan of glazed pumpkin. I know this one is a newer scent this year for fall, and I hope they bring it back because I've been loving this in the shower gel, I've been loving this in the body cream, and I also have a mist of it that I've been truly loving. So I will miss this one when it's gone, and hopefully it comes back next year so I can repurchase this in the body wash. Okay, now let's talk about our body moisturizers. First update that I have is with my Glazed Pumpkin body cream. This is just a little mini. I am happy to say that I have completely emptied this. I do love the body cream formula from Bath & Body Works. I just try to avoid purchasing it because these go bad so much quicker than the lotions. So I really do feel like these little minis are perfect because you're able to use them up without them separating or like getting super yellow. I wish that they made every scent in the mini because I would definitely purchase the minis over the full size any day. Just like the body wash, this smells absolutely delicious. I have loved pairing my mist with this lotion to just get the best ooey gooey caramel pumpkin scent for fall. I don't need to repurchase this, or will probably not repurchase this in the future because I do have the lotion version of Glazed Pumpkin, but this was super fun to use up. Next up, I have 2 lotions from EOS that I have updates on. So the first one is the fragrance-free lotion. So I was about halfway through this when I started the project, and I have worked through so much of this, and I am almost completely at the end. I have been finding myself reaching for this fragrance-free lotion so much during this project. I mean, we're only halfway through and I'm almost completely done with it. Fragrance-free lotions are just the best because you can truly pair them with any mist or perfume. If you don't have a lotion that you want to layer with your fragrance, or if maybe it's going to be too strong to layer a scented lotion with your mist or your perfume, fragrance-free lotions are just the way to go. Sometimes I also just get out of the shower and I don't really want smells. So this is just one that I have been reaching for nonstop. And I feel like you can tell based off of the progress that I've made. Last up for body moisturizers is an update on my EOS Vanilla Cashmere lotion. So this is one of my all-time favorite lotions. The scent is just so delicious. This has the exact same formula as the fragrance-free version. This just has that delicious vanilla cashmere scent added to it. So I started also on this one about halfway through, and I have not been reaching for this one as much. So this one is where I'm at. I've kind of been savoring this one because it's been a little warmer here, so I haven't really been finding myself reaching for these super thicker, heavier scents. Except for the Glazed Pumpkin body cream, I was just kind of going for it. But I know that this one is going to layer so well with so many of my fall and winter fragrances. I'm so excited to keep using this one and see the progress that I make in my fall finale. So now let's chat about the perfumes. So I have this travel size of the Cirque du Soleil perfume. This one's like a delicious carnival scent. Like it smells like candied apples, kettle corn, butter, but then somehow is also super wearable. So I started this one right here and I've made some progress. I definitely can do a little bit better, but this is where we are at right now. This one is definitely more of a heavy gourmand, so I can definitely see myself reaching for this more in the latter half of my project. So I'm very excited to see the progress that I make. The next perfume is Fresh Cream Warm Cashmere from Philosophy. I think that this is the perfect like transition season fragrance, especially fall time, because it's super sweet and creamy and just a little bit spicy. But there also is like a whipped cream element to it that gives it a little bit of freshness. So it's not too heavy, so you can still kind of get away with it on a little bit warmer of days. So this is where we started at the beginning of the project. And this is the progress that we've made. This is a 60 ml bottle, so I would say I've made pretty decent progress on this one. You definitely wear a lot less spritzes of this than you do a body mist, and I'm very excited to keep using this in my project. Now moving on to the body mists, and I've definitely been favoring certain mists over others. So I wouldn't say I've necessarily failed, but we do have some work to do in the second half of the project. So let's start with one that I've actually made some decent progress on. So my Glazed Pumpkin Mist, this is just a little mini. So I started with almost a completely full mist right here, and I've made a pretty decent dent. This is where the mist is now. This is one of those fragrances that smells good in the body wash. It smells good in the body cream and body lotion. This is the exact same fragrance as the body cream and the body wash. So very excited to keep using this in my project. My goal for this one is to make it at least halfway through this mini by the end of this project. Okay, another one that I didn't do too terribly on, but I definitely could do better. This is my Blush Cardigan Body Mist from Bath & Body Works. And this one, similar to the Glazed Pumpkin, was almost completely full when the project started. And I have made a teeny tiny dent. I don't know if dent would be the right word, but this is where we are at right now. I will say the more I use this, the less I like it. It's fine. It's definitely not my favorite mist. It's kind of like a showery, effervescent raspberry scent. Not bad by any means, but this is definitely one that I'm not super excited to wear. Still fun for fall. We'll see what progress we make by the end of the project. Okay, these next two are almost complete failures, and that is Wicked Vanilla Woods and Pistachio Glaze. So Wicked Vanilla Woods I have almost barely touched at all, so I'll show you. That top line is where we started, and the update line is almost completely touching the top line. I've used this a couple times, but I don't know what it is. I just have not been finding myself reaching for this scent. This is definitely a richer, more unisex vanilla scent, and for whatever reason, I've just really been gravitating more towards like the sweeter gourmands, but this still is an absolutely delicious scent. So we'll be making some progress by the finale. Another one kind of failing on. The top line is where we started and the bottom line is our progress. I think the problem with this is that during this project, I did purchase the little toasted pistachio mini that they have from the Scent Lab collection, and I prefer that one to this one. So when I've been reaching for a pistachio scent, I just haven't been reaching for this one, although I do love this. And this is like the perfect fall time scent because it's sweet and it's nutty, but it still has this kind of depth and earthiness to it from the patchouli. So I think I need to kind of push myself to be using this one a little bit more, but it still is an absolutely lovely scent. I was gonna say last but not least, but actually last and least is Sundays in Rio from Sol de Janeiro. In my intro, I was kind of talking about how I put this one in the project because I wanted to kind of force myself to use it and play around with it more and kind of establish my thoughts on this one, and I have established my thoughts. The more I use this, the more I don't like it. There's something about this one that in my opinion smells just like a little bit almost rotten, which is something that I didn't really pick up on when I was first testing this and playing around with this. I actually thought I might quite like this. And the more I've used it, the more I've grown to dislike it. So I've kind of forced myself a little bit to use it, but this is another one where the progress just really isn't there. So it was almost completely full when I started, and at this update, it is still almost completely full. So we'll see. I might try to incorporate this into more routines as like a layering mist, but overall have not been enjoying this one and will not be looking forward to using this in the second half of my project. Okay, now let's chat about the makeup products in my project. When I was picking products for the makeup portion of my project pan, I wanted to pick one product from each step of my routine and focus on that one specifically. So for the primer, I chose this little mini of the Rare Beauty Always an Optimist primer. This is like a pore filling, hydrating primer that I actually really do quite like, which is not typical for me. I'm not typically a blurring primer type person, but this one I have enjoyed. So this, like I said, is just a little mini. I really don't use much of this. I kind of try to target it on my T-zone where my pores are the biggest. So it's not really something that I've been using all over my face. So I've been using it pretty sparingly, but nevertheless, I have made some decent progress on it. So this is where we started, and that is where we are at now. So maybe decent progress isn't the correct phrase to use, but I have made a little dent in it. I also really only use this when I am using a foundation, and I don't wear foundation on a daily basis, but when I use it, I really do like it, and so I'm hoping this one will be completely done by the project pan finale. Okay, next up is the Haus Labs foundation. I may have kind of set myself up for failure with this one because although this is one of my all-time favorite foundations, I don't wear foundation every day. You also don't need a ton of it when you're using it. So I was a little over halfway when I started, and I am still a little over halfway. So that second line is the progress that I've made. I've basically used this every time that I've worn foundation since the project started, but like I said, I'm just not doing a full beat all the time. So that is the progress that we have made. But we do have some exciting events coming up, some things going on where I will definitely be wearing foundation. This will definitely get some use, and I look forward to updating you in the finale. So I have a couple products in this project where it's kind of hard to track like the visual progress that I've made. So I have been keeping little tallies of how many times I've used it in the past 6 weeks. So this is the Haus Labs concealer. I think I talked about this in the intro where I'm like, I do not understand how I have not completely used this up. I have had this concealer for so long. This is one of my favorite concealers. It has a beautiful shade match, so I always find myself really reaching for it. So I did keep tallies of how often I use this, and I used this concealer only 6 times in the past 6 weeks. So I think what I'm learning is maybe I don't use this as much as I thought. This is a little bit more full coverage than some of my other concealers that I have. So this isn't one that I would really use on like a no makeup day. I really only do use this one if I have like a full face complexion product on, like a skin tint or a foundation or something like that. So I think that's maybe why I didn't use this as much as I thought, but this is why I do like project pans, because I feel like you learn a lot about yourself and your product usage habits. And so we'll see how many times more this gets used by the end. All right, another one I had to keep tallies on because the packaging is completely opaque is the NARS Afterglow Liquid Blush. I have mine in shade Behave. So according to my calculations, I used this one only 3 times. I think part of the reason that I didn't use this one as much as I thought I was going to, and only 3 times, is because this is a liquid formula. So I do find myself kind of gravitating a lot more towards like cream blush products, like specifically my Merit cream blush. That's one I am always reaching to. This is a very beautiful neutral shade, so it goes with almost every single makeup look. I really do think though that it is just the liquid formula. It's just not as convenient to apply as some of my cream products, but it is beautiful and I'm excited to keep using it. And I'm definitely going to make myself reach for this more often to try to use more of this up by the end of the project. Okay, for bronzer, I feel like I have quite an update. So this is the Sunstalker bronzer from Fenty, and I have mine in shade Into Sun. And this one has been hard panning so bad. So I feel like this has been difficult to use, and then really the only visible difference that you can see is when I literally had to go through and scrape off the top layer. And I really do try to avoid using this one over cream products. Like I definitely try to make sure that my face is fully set before I go in with this bronzer, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't pick up a ton of pigment on the brush and it just starts to hard pan. So I'll show you what this one looks like right now, but you can see where I had to literally scrape off the top layer, which is so unfortunate. This one, I just don't think really that it's for me. For whatever reason, it's just not really compatible with a lot of the makeup looks that I'm using. I'm definitely gonna continue to use it. I'm definitely gonna use it all the way up. Definitely not one that I will not be repurchasing after I'm completely done with. Just definitely not one of my favorite formulas. It's also a matte bronzer, which I don't really know what I was thinking because I typically don't like matte products, even if they're a powder. I still usually like to have some sheen or some shine to them. I guess we're going out of order a little bit because I forgot to show you the update with my powder. So the powder in my project is the Kosas Cloud Set powder, and I will show you where I'm at with this one. I think genuinely there is just so much product in here, and this isn't one of my all-time favorite powders. So I feel like at this update, there's not a ton of progress on this one, and I kind of have a few reasons why I think that. One, I don't use powder every single time I do my makeup or every single day. And when I do, really the only place that I powder consistently is my under eyes to prevent my mascara and like eyeshadow from smudging. But I don't use powder that much. 2, this isn't my favorite formula. And 3, there's a lot of powder in here. Kind of just ready for this one to be done. Okay, another one that I reach for pretty frequently, but this is just one of those products that you don't use a ton when you use it. This is the e.l.f. eyebrow pencil. So I'll show you where we're at. I have used a good amount, I feel like, especially for an eyebrow pencil, and we definitely are getting to the bottom on this one. I absolutely love this eyebrow pencil. It has a nice fine tip. Anyway, I really do think I'm gonna be able to finish this one by the end of the project. This is just one I'm always reaching for, and I love I think it's one of the best at the drugstore. And with my brow pencil, I have been using the Rare Beauty Brow Gel. So again, another one, I have been keeping tallies of how many times I've used it so far during the project. And I have used this one 12 times. I think all of my other brow gels in my collection are tinted, so I will basically use this one when I have time to fill in my brows with the eyebrow pencil. So for my eyebrows, I don't really have one set routine for how I do them. I do feel like the most common thing, however, that I do is just run through my brows with a tinted brow gel. So because of that, this one hasn't gotten as much use as I thought it would, although I have used this one pretty frequently. Okay, one that I'm actually having to remove from the project because it has like completely dried out. This is the little travel size that I have of the Idol Flutter Extension Mascara. So unfortunately, I went to use this and I guess I didn't realize how long it had been since the last time I had used it because it was almost completely dried out. So I haven't really used this at all. So I guess definitely a fail. And the goal was for me to kind of figure out my thoughts on this, and I guess I don't have any. And it will also be leaving the project because I literally can't use it. Okay, so super happy about my progress with this next one. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. That is where we started at the beginning of the project, and this is where we are at now. This is one of those products that I am willing to pay the high price tag for because I just feel like it works so well. Not only does it A, set your makeup super well, it B, kind of melts everything together. I use this all the time, as you can tell by the progress that I've made, and I'm hoping that I completely empty this by the end of the project. A couple more products before we wrap up this Project Pan update. So this is the Deja Brew eyeshadow palette. This is one where I feel like it's a little bit tricky to really see the progress that you've made because you just use so little eyeshadow when you use a palette. So I have been reaching for this one all the time. I always do reach for this one. It's one of my favorite palettes in my collection. My goal by the absolute end of this project is that I have actually hit pan in at least one of these shades, and I have one I think that's getting kind of close, that little sweet cream shade, the middle top shade. So we'll see. We'll see. Next up is the Ulta Beauty eyeliner. This is where we're at for this one. I've definitely been forcing myself to reach for this one, and this is a fine eyeliner. I think my favorite thing about it is that it is a little bit lighter brown of a shade. I feel like with a lot of brown eyeliners, they're almost so dark, they're like black, but I always want something a little bit softer on my eyes just because of my fair complexion. It's just less harsh to use a brown, and I feel like this is a really good shade of brown. The more that I use this, the more that I realize that the formula is not great. It is relatively long wearing, I'd say, but it is not very creamy. I've been using it, it's just not maybe my favorite eyeliner of all time, but I think we'll be able to get through a good amount of it by the end. Okay, and last but certainly not least, this product I think is hanging on truly for dear life, and this is one that I absolutely love and I think is perfect for fall time. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Core Lip Shine. So she is, I mean, she was at the end of her life when we started, but she is, I mean, she's getting there. She is absolutely getting there. This is the like drugstore dupe of Black Honey, although I think this one has a little bit more pigment than Black Honey. It's like Your Lips But Better, but like a couple shades deeper. So I think this is the perfect fall lip. I think we're gonna be able to get through it by the end of this project, if not before, because this is one that I'm definitely reaching for regularly. So those are all of the updates for my fall project pan. We will have the finale video up in about 6 to 7 weeks, so make sure you're subscribed to my channel so that you don't miss that. And leave me a comment down below of a product you will be working on this fall season. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.